The Consulting Success podcast is powered by the Clarity Coaching Program. If you'd like to work directly with the Consulting Success team and receive personal coaching and support to optimize and grow your consulting business, marketing, and revenue, visit consultingsuccess.com to find out more and apply.
Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zapersky. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of elite consultants, where you'll learn the strategies, tactics, and mindset to grow a highly profitable and successful consulting business.
Hey everyone, it's Michael Zapersky, and welcome back to another episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. Today, I'm very excited to have Monica Hernandez joining us. Monica, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. So you are the founder and CEO of Mas Global Consulting, where your firm offers software development, application integration, DevOps, and a whole bunch more. You've worked with some very well-known organizations like Dell, Johnson Controls, Clarios, and again, many others. And I think you've grown the business now to about, is it 300 employees?
Yes, close.
Yeah. And you have operations in the US, in Colombia, Mexico, and also Argentina. So truly a global operation. And Mas Global was named by Deloitte and Inc. magazine as one of the fastest growing technology companies and consultancies in North America. And so I thought it would be maybe fun, or at least for me, I'm very interested to find out when you look back on what you've accomplished to this point in the business. And here we are, Deloitte and Inc. saying that you have one of the fastest growing companies. Is there a mindset that you feel has really contributed most to the success that you've achieved to today? Anything that is just a real kind of key or integral part of how you operate and that you feel has really contributed to the success that you've created to this point?
Yeah, first, thank you for inviting me. Always happy to be here representing women in business and Latinas in technology and so forth. I think I started the business not with the idea to create a lot of wealth, which is definitely a big part of the equation. But my whole immigrant journey from Colombia to the US really led me to do something that I thought could be impactful and what I could give back. And so that has really been the energy behind what I do. Entrepreneurship is challenging, also very rewarding. But I feel like, for me at least, there's got to be something else in addition to building financial security for your family that truly moves you. Because at some point, you do have some financial benefits, but then how do you keep going? Why do you keep going? And so when it's more than that, it definitely helps. And that's why I call my company Mas Global, because Mas in Spanish means more. And I truly wanted to build something that will be do good while we do well type of.
Yeah. So how do you think about that today, and how has that kind of mindset, has it shifted at all? And I think very often when you talk to entrepreneurs in the early days, they just want to validate. They just want to get some confirmation that they're on the right track. Then it's about, I want to have more money coming in, or I want to build wealth. And then you talk to people who are further on in their journey where they've maybe created enough wealth to feel very comfortable. And the focus then tends to be maybe less on the money and more on other things. In your case, was that the kind of the mindset that you had throughout? Did you also match those progressions, or did you see things differently earlier on? Just walk me through the different chapters and maybe how your mindset has shifted or developed and changed over the years.
To do that, maybe let me take you back to Medellin, where I grew up. So I was born in Medellin, Colombia. It's this beautiful city in the mountains. It's the second largest city in Colombia. And it's called the city of eternal spring because it's 75 degrees all year long. And so very humble beginnings. My mom and my dad, they didn't finish high school, but they were both very hardworking people, many Hispanics. And my mom, especially, she had this determination and this grit. And she had this small home-based business. And she was the first entrepreneur that I knew. And she was very focused on education as a way for us to get out of poverty. So thanks to that, I ended up getting a scholarship to one of the best private colleges in Medellin, kind of the Stanford or the Harvard of Colombia. And that's how I became a software engineer. First one in my family to graduate. That led to me having an opportunity to come to Dallas, Texas as an intern. And that's how I started my journey as a woman in technology, to find out very soon that there's not that many of us that look like me or sound like me. So I ended up building my career in technology in the US after a couple of companies. I landed a job in Oracle Consulting. That's where I learned everything I know about consulting. And I led large transformational projects, right, with teams truly global, India, Asia, the US. And I learned a lot about how technology is a big component of helping companies, but the human aspect, the communication, can truly make a project fail or succeed. And so I thought, okay, I am a software engineer. I had this incredible transformational opportunity to build a career at a very basic, humble beginnings. And I know Colombia is in the same time zone. So how do I give back to my country? How do I not just live my American dream and forgetting where I come from? And so I thought, let's start a company that offers software development services. And instead of being offshore, let's build a nearshore model where I serve companies in the US using everything I learned in Oracle about the business environment here, my new home. But then I'm also giving back and building opportunities for people in technology in Colombia. And that's how we started MAS. That was really my motivation. I didn't have a big plan to conquer the world, but I knew that I could provide some great engineering. I knew the talent in Latin America, the caliber. And I knew that if I created some economic empowerment for women and Latinos, we could do great things. And 10 years later, we're now one of the fastest growing companies in our field.
What did you feel, so I understand that you had a connection to Colombia, and for you, that would be a very natural kind of opportunity to look at how can you bring that experience and the connection to the US market. But what did you see as the advantage of that? For many years, even well before Mas Global was started, there are companies that would provide, as you said, offshore software development or technology services, India being probably one of the biggest kind of markets. To many people, they would look and think there's already a lot of businesses that are established providing that, but you weren't scared of that potential competition. So I'm wondering, what did you feel was the advantage that you could bring, and what gave you the confidence to go head to head against other companies that were already established? And I would imagine, you can correct if I'm wrong, but maybe even pricing may have been cheaper. So to kind of walk me through, what did you see as an advantage, and how did you think about the landscape at that time?
Sure. First, at the time I started about 10 years ago, agile methodologies were really starting to be almost a requirement for most companies, right? There was a traditional way of building software, and there was a more agile, dynamic, real-time way. Smaller teams, real interactions, very focused on collaboration. It's very hard to do agile when you have teams across the ocean 11 hours away. And so I thought the way to do agile and DevOps and truly automate and create efficiencies in the software development process is to have everyone working on the same time zone. But it's very hard for companies when they have limited budgets to do this with all the resources that are US based. So I thought a hybrid model where I have some people in the US, some people in Latin America will make a lot of sense. And what gave me the confidence was I grew up in Colombia. I knew the caliber of education that we get. Just by me going through my own master's in computer science and engineering in Texas, I realized that we actually have really high quality systems. For me to become a software engineer, I had to go to college 5.5 years, including an internship of real life experience. And so on top of that, Colombia is in the top of South America. So the proximity to the US is a huge advantage when it comes to getting people face to face. Of course, the pandemic has brought a different dynamic. But even now, when I have to go visit my team, I can be in Miami at 1 p.m. and by the end of the day, I'm in Medellin. It's a 3.5-hour flight. So it's very convenient. It doesn't take you a whole day or two to go and visit your teams. All of those things create a lot of efficiency when it comes to delivering IT projects. And if you look at data from Gartner and Forrester and others, more than half of IT projects fail, right? That you have to either have rework or timelines that take longer or over budget. So anything that we can do to increase the chance of projects succeeding and de-risk the projects is actually pretty helpful. And then last but not least, as you can see, especially the last few years, it's very hard to retain and even to attract talent in technology. So companies are looking at, I need the best possible talent anywhere, right? As long as you are in the same time zone, where can we have people who can help us build applications, who can help us test, who can help us modernize our obsolete legacy infrastructure? So it's very helpful for companies to know that there's a whole ecosystem, not just Colombia. Right now we're in Argentina, Mexico, maybe even Peru. So now you have a wide, right, network of millions of developers. And if companies like Maslow can bring the top 1% of those developers, then that's a huge differentiator. And on top of that, you have an amazing culture. You grow great careers for developers. You bring women, Latinos, diversity of thought, then that creates an environment for innovation that all the companies need today.
Yeah, no, I love how you identified all these different elements that could potentially provide an advantage, and you put them together where one person might have only seen just one part of it and then feel a bit daunted to try and collect other, like they might have just given up, but you kept moving forward. Now I'm wondering, so take me back 10 years or so ago when you started Mas Global, you had this hypothesis of what would work, of the advantage that you could bring, the proximity sounding like probably one of the biggest factors that gave you an edge over US-based companies that might be working offshore with other companies or services in India and other places like that. But now you need to go to market. You have to actually validate or improve the idea, the great idea that you feel you have, it actually can become a business. Walk me through so you had mentioned you had experience working at Oracle, places like that. How did you actually go out and land your first few clients? Kind of take me back to the early days of that first win that signaled to you, yes, I do have something here.
Yeah. So I've never had external capital, right? So I was employee number one for a while, and I was everything: sales, marketing, delivery. And also I had just become a mom. I had a 1-year-old at home. And my husband actually was a big supporter of me starting the business. And so that inspired me to, okay, let's go. This is the time. There will never be a perfect time to start the business. And at that time, I will say that the credibility that I had built with the work that I have done over the years at Oracle, the network, the relationship that I had were huge, right? Because when you are a one-person company, you can't show any case studies. There's no marketing material. I didn't have anything to show, any recognitions. And all I had was me, right? The work that I had done and the people who had seen me do that. So the moment I said, listen, I'm going on my own, I'm creating my own company, then there are a lot of different people who were very eager to help and introduce me to others and so forth. So I would say relationships are so key. And you just never know who you meet that you can help. And with providing your expertise and your knowledge, that can go a long way in those early days. The other aspect is it's hard to acquire those first few employees also, right? Because they're like, are you going to be around in a year or so? So on top of the credibility and having my experience with Oracle and so forth, sharing my story and why I was starting a company and my vision for the company, right? How could this really be impactful in so many ways? I think that helped me get those first employees that believed in me. And then me being a software engineer, right? I'm a founder, I'm a CEO, but I'm also a software engineer myself. So I can talk to clients in a very different level. I'm not just trying to sell you a service. I know what good software engineering is. So I started on my own. I will do this for you. I will build the things myself. I can speak from experience. And I will become an advisor to my early clients in a way that I was looking to whatever was valuable to them. Right? That's a very different way of selling. Let me learn about you and let me show you how I can help you. And the more I did that, the more I had referrals and the more I grew with those clients. And that was really helpful in those early days that there wasn't any sales and marketing engine. You were asking me when I knew that this could really go somewhere. I had my first large client was in Dallas, and that was a smaller engagement. And I learned a lot from that. And I was myself involved in that engagement, right? That second largest client was a very large company that still to this day is our client after a decade. And I started with a small proof of concept with them, and that came from my network, someone that I knew from my Oracle days. And they called me and said, Monica, they really need your help. And I said, right now, I have my daughter, I have limited travel. They convinced me, come over, find out more about them. It's just a couple of months. And a couple of months now turning to 10 years. And we introduced the nearshore model to this client, right? They were using offshore heavily. Some of their projects were not working out. And I asked them, let me try one team. Let me just put together one team in Colombia. I will lead the team myself. And I'll show you results every 2 weeks. That's how Agile works, right? Tell me what you need, we prioritize. And in 2 weeks, I'll give you a demo, we'll get feedback, and so on. And that was extremely successful. People started coming to the demos. How are you doing this? Tell me more about this Agile. How is this nearshore methodology working? And we started growing that way. And that first large project and case study we were able to use with other clients. And that's how we started growing. So that first large engagement is really key to do an extremely good job. So now you have something to show with others.
How long were you involved in the actual delivery of client projects and work from the time that you started until the time that you maybe step back from the day-to-day of actual client work and client delivery? How long did that take?
Excellent question. It was so hard to get myself removed in a way. I will always be there, right? As a leader, I have to be engaged with our clients. But I'm trying to think, I would say for the first 3-4 years, I was still a consultant. And I think mindset-wise, I was still a founder. Transition from being a founder to a CEO is very important. When you truly think that you want to scale, now you start thinking about sustainable growth. And this company cannot be defined by me. And I started hearing some of our clients talking about Monica and Monica's team. And I wanted them to think of us as a company. This is not Monica. This is Mass Glow led by Monica. So it was very hard, but we did it. And that's when I started thinking about, okay, what does a leadership team look like? Who do I need to put in place in every client to make sure that they get the same level of experience, the same level of quality, whether I am involved day to day or not. And that was the start of the evolution of our company.
Hey, it's Michael here, and we'll be right back to the podcast. But first, are you ready to grow, scale, and take your consulting business and marketing to the next level? If so, our Clarity Coaching Program may be a great fit for you. You'll work with our experienced team to set up a strategic plan for your business and coach you step by step in areas like how to consistently attract more leads, develop a magnetic message that resonates with your ideal clients, strategically package and position your services, earn higher fees, win more proposals, and scale your business. To find out more about Clarity Coaching and apply, go to consultingsuccess.com and click on coaching.
A lot of people, when they reach that stage, tend to make investments in team, whether it's a real like executive or leadership team. They look at their revenue, they look at their profit, they see what their margin is, and they're concerned that I'm going to have a lot less money coming into my bank account personally because I have to put so much out. How did you think about that? And I'm wondering, what did you experience when you started to bring in other executives or other team members at a more senior level that would allow you to step back from the day to day? Was that something that you felt very comfortable with, or was that a real challenge you had to work through?
I was definitely not comfortable because we were self-funded. We didn't have any debt. I always wanted to be very disciplined in terms of how we use our cash because I felt very responsible for our team, right? Every person you hire, they're making a bet on your company. And so I was always very careful on how to use our resources. It was very helpful for me to join different communities, right? Now I learned about a community of women-owned businesses. We became women-owned certified. Then I learned about a community for minority-owned businesses, right? As a Latina, that was very powerful. Even to get access to more opportunities, that was helpful. But also to talk to other entrepreneurs and then ask those questions. How do you grow? How do you overcome this challenge? I participated in a program, for example, with Stanford University for Latino entrepreneurs. And I started learning more about data. Stanford does this incredible research with this organization called Latino Business Action Network. And they talk about the different challenges that Latino entrepreneurs have in the US to grow their businesses. Unfortunately, some of what they found is that only 3% of Latino-owned businesses grow their companies beyond the $1 million mark in revenue. 1 million. And on the other hand, we are creating businesses as a Latino community faster than other demographics. Stanford said, if we help Latino businesses scale, it's actually helping the U.S. economy, right? More jobs generated. So how do we do that? How do we get it to be $10, $100 million businesses? So they took us through this 7-week program, so powerful. And they talk about all these elements. how important it is to build a leadership team, how important it is to build relationships with banks and have lines of credit, how important it is to build a board of advisors or even board of directors, have others who have gone through the same journey, who have been there, done that, that can guide you and really challenge your thinking. And that's really key because sometimes we want to stay in this comfort zone, but if we truly want to grow, we know we need to listen to others that might bring different ideas than ours. So all of those communities and those programs really helped me sort of shape into a new kind of leader and knowing that I could take this company to a new level that I didn't even think about when I started Mass.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a consistent thing that I see across many successful entrepreneurs, business owners, consulting firm owners. We hear this a lot within our own kind of Clarity coaching community of being able to ask others and hear their stories and learn from their mistakes or from the best practices. That's really great to hear. I'd love to get you to put on some new lenses for a moment. I know you have glasses on, but new lenses looking at a few different aspects and areas of your business. And I think if you could go back in time and knowing what you know now, Monica, about what works and what doesn't work, I'm going to ask you a few different kind of areas of business. And I wonder if you can tell me if there's anything that you feel, yes, we could have done something different here, or I wish I would have made a change here. I'll say one word and you tell me, no, I wouldn't change anything, or yes, I would maybe make a change here. So the first one, and I'm just making this up as we go along here, we'll see how it goes, but marketing. From a marketing perspective, is there anything that you, knowing what you know now, maybe would have done, avoid mistakes, see better ROI? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I think I learned how critical marketing is later in my journey. And if I had done something different early on, I think we would have made Mass Global widely known right earlier, and that would have helped definitely bring more diversity of clients early on. So that's definitely something that I would have invested much sooner.
Is there anything specific? So one of the things you've been recognized for is a very fast growing company. You mentioned in the early days that it was your network, right? You had a great network that helped you to get some initial clients. That led to referrals. But now as you're really scaling up, you're hundreds of people in terms of team members. Is there anything from a marketing perspective that you feel, yeah, we do this and it works exceptionally?
I think showing or sharing more about our capabilities and our thought leadership, right? Selling without selling. The more we talk about the things we've done with other clients, I think people want to know what our track record is. So exposing that more, I think, has really helped. Also talking about even what kind of impact we have. It's been amazing to see the focus on ESG goals, for example, from large corporations, especially in the last few years. And so for me, because it's so natural for us, it's how we started. We wanted to have an impact. We now have a foundation. We provide the same scholarship that I received. And so for us, it's very easy to talk about it. But early on, we didn't really think it was that important to tell because it wasn't a marketing strategy. It was just part of who we are. But now, more and more, we hear from the own clients that we have or prospect, what are you doing for your community? What is your social impact? Which other sustainable goals are you addressing? And so that, I think, has been really important for us to be more vocal about because that talks about the type of company we are. And it's also helping us attract great talent that want to be part of something meaningful that goes beyond the financial aspirations of companies, which is so key in technology.
And so, Monica, when you talk about telling that story or sharing more of that, I'm wondering specifically, how are you doing that? Is that just, and you mentioned thought leadership as well, is it just publishing content, for example, on your own website and blog? Are you publishing in other publications? Are you running paid ads on Google and LinkedIn or other platforms? Just walk me through, even just high level. I'd love to get a better sense. What are you doing more tactically to actually tell that story or share your insights and opinions and thought leadership and so forth?
Sure. So first in our website, for sure, we're actually about to launch yet another version of the website. So it's kind of ongoing work and evolution. For example, we didn't have case studies in our website. Now we do. We might not have as many as I would want to, but now people can at least see the kind of work that we've done. We don't work with some of our clients to get their authorization to put their logos in there because now we know how incredibly important it is to establish that credibility. When people see that we work for Dell or with Johnson Controls or for Bloomberg, they're like, oh, then yes, if you work for them, you must be providing great services. We even created a space in our website for our foundation so that anyone that wants to learn about that is very clear these are the specific goals, and even some pictures of some of the work that our own employees do with girls in technology or with the scholarships that we provide in our presentations. So with every business, large or small, there's typically a capability statement, a one pager, right? Like a very quick overview. And if someone said, tell me more about your company, you should be able to take them through it in a few minutes. There's also the overview deck where you have, say, 7 to 10 slides. And there you talk about what you do, the recognition that you have, the work that you do for social impact, for example. So a few years ago, that slide about social impact would probably not be there. My own story would probably not be there. But since we started being asked more and more, why did you create this? Because companies want to know if our heart is really in it, especially because we're a women-owned, minority-owned company. If corporations have supplier diversity programs and want to work with us, they want to know that we are actually paying it forward, that by helping us, we're actually helping others. So having the complete picture of capabilities, what we've done, why our company, what are our differentiators, including all of that in those overview decks as we provide presentations to prospects and in our website has just been really helpful. And then, of course, there's social media, especially LinkedIn is very helpful when it comes to sharing with our own followers, our prospects, the kind of company we are. We showcase some of our talent. We create some blogs about quality assurance, about cloud, about cybersecurity, the work that we do. Sometimes we talk about the foundation, the social impact that we have. So very diverse content to give a full picture. And then when it comes to talent, then we use Instagram, for example, where we know the young talent is, and we can see more about our culture and what happens in the type of. We have a Mass Academy program, for example, where we do training or we bring speakers. We post that in there so that people can see, hey, if I join Mass, that's the type of experience that I will have.
Yeah.
Those are the kinds of things we do.
And I find it so interesting that you talk about the evolution of your website and you're about to launch a new version, which is so true for all companies, right? It's always going to be an evolution, but talk about all these areas that you know that you still want to improve on, having more logos, right? For the credibility, more case studies. But here you are generating tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of team members and employees. And some of these things you didn't even have on the website. So it just shows that you can still accomplish so much without having, quote unquote, all the best practices. There's always room for improvement. Okay, so next area, pricing. Is there anything, again, with the benefit of hindsight, any big mistakes that you made as a founder, as a leader, just as a company, when it comes to pricing, anything that you learned from that experience?
I guess first, I would say you need to know your value. And you also need to know what kind of company you want to be, right? In our case, we don't want to be a high volume, sort of body shop type of company where we just have hundreds of developers. And in that case, we'll just have the lowest possible price and compete on price. That to me is not who we are. We'd rather compete on having the best possible talent in front of you, great methodologies to de-risk your projects, talent in the same time zone that might be more expensive than offshore if you look at it from an hourly rate, but the total cost of delivery, right? How do you actually deliver that project is what is more important. You don't want to know if you have the optimal rate. You want to know if you have the optimal price for the entire project. So being able to position it that way, the whole picture is really key versus trying to just compete on mere price. I guess the other thing is, as an entrepreneur, you also need to be thinking about some flexibility when it comes to growing, right? So sometimes we have these targets for gross margins or profitability, but you might come across an opportunity where it is worthwhile to have some flexibility because that will mean total contract value over the lifetime of a customer. So sometimes it's thinking big versus that one specific contract is also very key.
Yeah, great. What about hiring? Today we are in a very challenging hiring environment for many organizations. But even if you go back maybe several months or several years, is there anything that you really learned that you feel is just critical to hiring success?
One word, culture, is so key. And that's something that I feel very proud of. From day one, that has been very important to me. We have 5 values and we live by those values. And every new hire, we want to make sure that we test for that and that we're continuously focusing on that. I'll give you an example. We have a meeting that we call All In. It's like a town hall every month. And we give recognitions. How do we do that? Based on those 5 values, right? These are the people that are exhibiting our collaboration value. In Spanish, we call it juntos somos más. These are the people that are exceeding our we care value. What are you doing for each other, for the community, for the planet? These are the people that are exceeding the mass experience value. You did something amazing for one of our clients. So we're constantly reinforcing what we expect and the type of culture that we're building. And I think that's so important as you scale a company. There's got to be a personality that you maintain that will continue to attract and retain good talent and that will continue to be good in front of clients too.
How are you capturing all those different kind of examples of your team doing great work? You mentioned around the 5 different values or so forth that you have. How are you actually capturing all that data to know who to recognize on an ongoing basis?
Our talent team does a great job doing that every month. There are some tools that we were building in-house that were helping us with some of that. As the company has grown, we now have the need to, let's look in the market and see what amazing tools we can use. As a technology company, we try to use technology every possible way. You were asking about advice for entrepreneurs. That's another big investment that I think truly pays off at the end. For example, we use Bamboo HR for our talent operations. We use Oracle NetSuite. Very proud of me being able to buy Oracle Pros as an ex-Oracle employee. And that also provides a better experience for employees and for clients. So using technology, but also making sure we engage our team, right? And that we ask them, even during the all-in meeting, we say, hey, these are the people that we heard from you. Right now is the chance for you to just speak up, just unmute and tell us who did an amazing job in one of these values. So we want to make it very engaging and interactive so that it feels like something from the people, for the people, not just something from the top.
Yeah. Okay. And then so last one here, leadership. For you as a leader, looking back, right, the benefit of hindsight, anything that stands out to you, any maybe mistake that you made or just something maybe that you didn't pay attention to enough, but now you really recognize the value and importance of it?
I think from a leadership perspective, throughout the evolution of your sort of leadership journey, authenticity is so key, right? Being truthful, being consistent, making sure you follow through with what the commitments that you make for your employees and for your clients. And that builds credibility. And that's really helpful through hard times. And when you say something, people truly believe that you're really there for them. So I think I've always, that's just something that's, I think, natural to me because I guess how I earn my role here in business. But over time, sometimes when we're growing very rapidly, I definitely noted that there are some periods where I'm so focused on what needs to be done. And I'm like, I cannot forget to stay close to our team. So that's when I'm like, okay, I need to go back to Medellin. I need to go do this event. Let's go be in front of them without an agenda. Just, how are you doing? Tell me what you're saying. Tell me any ideas. Just being close to people is just something that I always want to remind myself. I try to do a good job of it, but it's so key, no matter how big you are, to be an authentic and be close to the people. That's your asset. That's our currency as business owners. And it's the right thing to do as well. Treat your people well, and they will do a great job for your clients.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Just a couple of questions, then we'll wrap up. For you, clearly you are a high-performing CEO. You're a leader. You built a very fast-growing business. I'm wondering, for you, Monica, in terms of habits that are in your life, maybe 1 or 2 things that you're just doing on a regular basis that you feel are just really key to the success that you've been able to create. Anything in your lifestyle or habits that are central to that?
When you are in business, it's very easy to let the business consume your life, right? Because it's just so demanding. So I tend to try to be very intentional on spending enough time with my family. I am a mom of 2 little ones, 11 and 8, that inspire me every day. Just today, I had to move some things around because it was first day of school for my kids. So making sure that you make time in your calendar for the things that truly matter is really key for me, because that will give you even more energy to go do the things that you want to do from a business perspective. I guess something else is making sure that you continue to give back. You're always looking for that fuel and that source of energy so that when you remember why you're doing what you're doing, it helps you knowing that you're impacting many different lives. And then third, not making compromises when it comes to the essence of you as a leader and you as a company, right? I would never want to sacrifice the quality of our services for growth, for example. So staying true to those values and to what you do really well and figuring out how to do it as you grow, I think it's really...
Those are really wonderful. And I just want to come back to the first one you were mentioning about being a mother and a parent and having young kids. And I have 2 young daughters myself. And I'm wondering for you, many entrepreneurs, right, as we're running our businesses, it's at times it can be challenging because you want to show up and be a present parent, but at the same time, you also feel this responsibility to your company, to your team members. How do you think through that? Like when you're balancing time with a family, but also you're an entrepreneur, right? You're driven, you want to accomplish, you want to succeed, you want to keep growing. What's going on in your mind? And have you found any kind of principles that you live by or that help you to make decisions when you kind of look at those two different sides?
Yeah, I was in this program last year with EY. They call it Entrepreneurial Winning Women. Very privileged to be there. They chose about 23 or so women across the US and Canada last year. And I was going to this conference, a lot of discussion about talent. And that was the first time I heard this idea about work-life integration. Not work-life balance, but integration. And that really got my attention. And so since then, I've been thinking that way, that maybe what we need is not balance. How do we put it all together in the same sort of mix, right? And so what I try to do now, especially as my kids get older, tell them more about the company, get them more involved in what's going on. And now they're super interested. Like just today, right after school, they came to the office and I was telling them what was going on. And now they know about relationships and clients. I invited my daughter with me to speak with some girls, this amazing organization called Girls Inc. And I brought my daughter because this is 9-year-olds. Who better to speak to them about technology than my own daughter? And now she was very comfortable in front of people. So to me, I think we don't realize how much our kids learn just from watching us do what we do, right? And how we can model their behavior, how we can steal some of those same values. So that integration, I think, is really helped me think to how everything comes together.
All right. Well, last question. I'm wondering, you clearly get a lot of inspiration and ideas and insights from different programs or people that you surround yourself with. In the last 6 months or so, though, is there a book that you have either read or listened to that you have found, it could be fiction or nonfiction, but it's something that you've really enjoyed that you might recommend to others?
There's this great book, and it's the second time I read it, but I'm rereading it. It's called Good to Great. And it's just so amazing because it really talks about how you can truly set yourself apart, right? All incredible companies, but all that study about what truly made the difference, really powerful. So I really enjoyed reading that, and making sure that we have the right people in the right seats is very important as we scale our businesses. So I will say that's the book that I will recommend.
That's by, Jim Collins, fantastic book. He's got so many others. Another one, BE, I think it's now BE 2.0, Beyond Entrepreneurship. Just a really fantastic book. But he's got a whole bunch of them. Great recommendation. So Monica, I want to thank you so much for coming on here today and spending some time with. Where should people go to learn more about you, about Mas Global, everything that you have going on? Where's the best place?
So our website, consulting.com. I'm very active in LinkedIn, Monica M. Hernandez, and I'm in Instagram as well. Thank you for having me. I hope this was of value and that we get more women, more Latinos, more minorities thinking that technology is also for us. We don't need to be the consumers. We can also build it, create it, and be in business. I think there's definitely a lot of opportunity here.
Definitely. All right. We're going to have all that linked up in the show notes. Monica, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Michael. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review, head on over to iTunes. And if you'd like to develop consistent lead flow and a highly profitable consulting business, learn more about our coaching programs at consultingsuccess.com.